$15 an hour is actually the bare minimum, hence the name minimum wage.
I'm doing this because I'm tired of my voice not being heard and not being treated, quote unquote, like essential workers.
At the end of the day, everybody is affected by the same issues and the same problems. It just determines if people are willing to stand up for themselves.
I raised my voice and I went on strike. In return, I saw some changes.
Y vamos a seguir en la lucha.
I'm Terrence Wise. Today I'm going to introduce two of our leaders in the fight for 15, Alex Harris and Imelda Rosales. Alex is in Florida and Imelda is in California. Both have fought for state bills that passed to help workers, and both have seen the backlash from legislators who are trying to undermine those gains, which is why they're staying in the fight. But I'm going to let them tell their stories and what's going on. First, let's meet with Alex.
Well, my name is Alex Harris, and I'm 25 years old. A blessing for me to reach the age of 25. I started fast food because I got in trouble at the age 18 with the law, and I became a returning citizen and a statistic. And the only job that was allowing people of my caliber to work was fast food. So that's how I ended up starting to work fast food.
So you were formerly incarcerated, and you were telling me, brother, when you got out, you know, fast food was the job that was readily available, right?
Yes, sir.
So you was for real just glad to get a job when you got out, right?
Oh, yes, sir. I always been working since the age of 14. So when I got out, that was all I knew, was trying to go back to the work.
So how did you get involved in the fight for 15? How did it start for you?
I eventually ended up getting a job at Hardee's. And when I was working there, we had organizers come and speak to us every single day. And I knew that it was a problem with the job and how things was handled. I knew that workers wasn't being valued, but I just didn't know how to fight that because in my position at the time, I didn't think that I had any power or anything because of my background or where I came from and how the world was judging me from my one bad decision that I ended up making. So from the organizers constantly coming and speaking to me and just constantly being there, it comforted me and let me know that whenever you're ready to stand up for not only yourself, but others, we right here. It just gave me that sense of empowerment, and it made me want to stand with them on whatever fight that they was fighting.
Now, I've been hearing, Alex, you've been all in. Now, we know you're part of the fight, and when you got involved, you just were very involved. What are some of the actions, rallies, protest strikes? What are some of the things you've been doing down there in Florida?
Years ago, we ended up fighting against a racist group that was trying to keep Confederate monuments towards our courthouse. So a building that is supposed to be a focal point of justice and equality actually had something that did not stand for anything of such nature down there. So we stood up and we fought for that. Multiple actions such as getting workers and returning citizens' rights restored, getting incarcerated mothers back home to their kids and various things like that. So just trying to fight for those who didn't really have the ability to fight for themselves.
I feel you, Alex. And see, most people don't get it, Alex, that the fight for 15 in the union is much bigger than just fighting for wages and a voice on the job. But you take that organizing power that we got, Alex, organizing workers and being able to organize and do things like have statues removed in downtown Tampa and the good work y'all was doing with Organized Florida down there to get Amendment 4 passed. Let's talk a little bit about Amendment 4, Alex. You know, the Voting Rights Restoration for Felons Initiative. You familiar with that, right?
Yeah.
Now, it was initiated constitutional amendment on the Florida ballot on November 6, 2018. Amendment 4, which automatically restored voting rights for as many as 1.4 million Floridians, including you, Alex, right?
Yes, sir.
Tell us what it was like working on that effort, working on that front.
It was definitely a challenge. The neighborhoods that I grew in, which they labeled as projects or undeveloped neighborhoods, people didn't really have any faith in their voice. They didn't have faith in making a change to the government. They feel like generations have been going through the same type of struggle, and who were we to think that we can make that change? But individuals such as myself and other people who just inspired me. At the time, I was a little discouraged because I was like, I could not vote, and I got in trouble at the age of 18. So at the age where I had possibility to possibly allow my voice to be heard, I had that power stripped from me for my own actions. But luckily, by the grace of God, I was able to push myself. And I just went out there and just grinded every single day. And even though I did not think that I would have my rights restored to be able to vote, for some apparent reason, sometimes you get inside these fights, and even though you know what the fight is for, you exclude yourself with the benefits once you finally achieve whatever you're going after. But it was amazing, and I thank God for every day that I had there. I was able to speak to so many people who did not know how much power that they had, and just to be able to restore the power back into the working people. That's what really inspired me. It had me feel good.
For real, bro. And mad props out to you. You being humble, man. But word is you got 1,400 people registered to vote, even though you didn't even have that ability to do it. And it draws so many similarities, bro, to, like undocumented workers who still have the right to organize in this country, despite whatever status may be held over their head. And I'm just so proud of you. Congratulations, bro. But it's so much going on in Florida, not only Amendment 4, but Amendment 2. I know you're familiar with Amendment 2. Tell us a little bit what that was about, bro.
So Amendment 2, Raise the Wage Act, that basically is just to give people an opportunity to make a living wage. That's the basis of it. Our oppressors will try to throw other stuff in and say that we're just trying to get paid as much as people who can decide whether you live or die and various things like that. But at the end of the day, we're just trying to make enough money to take care of our families. If you go and check the statistics, $15 an hour is actually the bare minimum, hence the name minimum wage.
Right.
You actually need more money than that to be able to live a proper and comfortable life. And you also need a union as well. But it's all about that first step. And we just end up standing for so many individuals. If people was able to make a living wage, then we wouldn't have as much homeless people out here. So now we're able to break a lot of them generational curses. We're able to have the fathers be there at the home, to be there for their kids, and have the mothers, and start to reunite the hardworking family again and better this country for what it really supposed to be leading to. So I just thank God for every moment of it. And we was able to get it passed, but not without backlash.
I hear you. And most people don't know it's not going to be $15 overnight. They're talking about 15 by September 30th, 2026. But we take all victories in stride. And, even recently hearing how the Fight for 15 is responsible for putting billions of dollars into the pockets of workers over the past 8 years. So the fight goes on, but we know we need 15 now, bro. And so just proud of what's going on down there. And we know, brother, that it's a fight. And when workers get wins, we've seen it happen here in Missouri. Our elected leaders' legislation comes out that attacks our victories. And I know you've seen or heard a little bit about that with Amendment 4, that attack and that pushback. Can you explain that a little bit, Alex?
So basically, what they do is they hold a prize over your head and they say, reach for it, reach for it, reach for it. And when you finally able to grab it, they say, oh, hold on. And then they pull it further back, or they try to throw other obstacles in the way. And that's just basically what it was. They did not think that we'd be able to have people unite to find out that this was really a problem, but they didn't know how many people really is affected by this. It doesn't matter what your ethnicity is. At the end of the day, everybody is affected by the same issues and the same problems. It just determines if people are willing to stand up for themselves. And for us going out there and speaking to people face to face, being able to have them conversations, being able to show people that I'm just like you guys. I'm no different. I'm no better. I struggle just as much. The difference for me and somebody homeless, I always say it, is a paycheck. If I miss one of them paychecks, I'd be on the street the same as that way. I done been on the streets before. So I definitely understand the struggle. So just going out there and speaking with people, it made this uproar, and it's just a chain reaction and people standing up. But with individuals such as myself, who was able to get their rights restored, they still tried to make a barrier where they made it seem where now, if you did not pay certain court dues or court fees, they say that you can't have your rights restored, which is definitely understandable, because when you really make change, if you never have backlash, then you know that you're really not changing nothing. When chains get broken that at first was meant to hold you back, then whoever is trying to oppress you is going to try to put more chains on you. That's why it's so important to give people the power and then to back up, allow them to use that power to stand up for themselves. And now we see all these organizations that stepped up with returning citizens and start paying their court fees and various things like that and said, you don't owe us nothing. All you owe us is to let your voice be heard. And we really allowed change to happen. So that was monumental.
For real. And man, all I keep thinking about, Alex, is, a union is what we'll make of it, man. And we still need that. We still need that national agreement from McDonald's. We need a union for all fast food workers. But our ability to act like a union and organize and put pressure on and win these victories, man, you exemplify that. You live it every day, brother. So what's the next step, Alex, to fight this law and restore voting rights for the formerly incarcerated, bro? What's the next step?
For me, it's fighting and making sure that everybody has an equal opportunity. See, it doesn't matter to me if Florida has 15 in a union if the whole United States does not have it. It's peoples out there. I have brothers and sisters in this fight that need me to stand up for them. So it's okay that I win a victory. But just like how when New York won a victory and they kept fighting with us, we got to continue to fight for others. And that's the basis of everything. Just continue to push on and various things. See, they're always going to tell you that you can't get it. Like McDonald's told us, they made fun of us to want $15 an hour. And then now the McDonald's next to my job is paying people $14.50 an hour to work there.
Right.
And they paying you $100 to put in a job application, come in for an interview. So they can always tell you that it's impossible, but you just have to keep on pushing. And once you reach that ceiling, it's all about pushing and breaking that ceiling and showing people that it's no limit. You can always push yourself, always better yourself. This generation is improving in technology. We're improving in knowledge. Why not improve in a way of life? Why not finally have people be able to make a living wage so that we can finally generate real generational wealth so that not only this generation be good, but the one after don't have to go through the same struggles and pains that we have.
Just know, brother, that workers in the fight for 15 here in Missouri and all across the country got y'all back. Best of everything to you, bro. And thanks for sharing your story, and keep it up, bro. Keep fighting. We need
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
My next guest is Imelda Rosales. She's a leader working in California who got COVID at the McDonald's she works at, who didn't have proper protective equipment at the time, nor did she get sick pay while she was out sick. But she stepped up, organized a strike, and even got OSHA to step in. She's now being penalized for her organizing by getting less hours after she returned to work, but she's still in the fight. Imelda prefers to speak in Spanish, so her story is going to be translated by our organizer in the fight for 15, Arnold Pena. Imelda, tell us about yourself. Tell us your story.
Okay, lo que pasa es que noviembre 29.
On November 29th, I contracted the virus COVID-19, and I infected 7 members of my family. So I was forced to go into quarantine, but my quarantine time was not paid. I raised this issue to my manager and management, but they said they didn't have money, nor money for PPE to provide for my paid quarantine time and my PPE. I know I got infected at McDonald's because other workers were infected. Again, I infected 7 members of my family, and their response is that they couldn't pay me my quarantine time because they had insufficient funds to provide that. So I knew that I had to do something. I knew that I had to take action. That's when I heard about the union. After going on strike and coming back to work, they reduced my full-time hours. I went from 40 hours to 22 hours. They split my shifts in half.
Now, Imelda, tell us, why are you doing this? How are you feeling while you were taking action?
Okay, lo que pasa, ¿por qué estoy haciendo esto? Es porque estoy cansada.
What happened, right? Why am I doing this? Is a question. I'm doing this because I'm tired of my voice not being heard. I'm tired of being treated like animals and not humans, and not being treated, quote unquote, like essential workers. Our AC isn't functioning. At the time, we didn't have PPE. And so I spoke up. I raised my voice and I went on strike. In return, I saw some changes. I noticed that when we spoke up, we received PPE in return. We received sufficient equipment to work properly. And there were some changes made. As a matter of fact, as of now, our AC isn't functioning, where they've tried to come in and address it, but 2 days later, it stops working. So today I went on strike due to our AC because it's problems like these that continue to happen.
Thank you, Imelda. We just talked to Alex about legislation in Florida that has helped working people, but also backlash to those gains. What legislative victories have happened in California, Imelda?
What we're doing with legislation is we're using a tool, and that tool is using AB 1177. That is the banking bill that we fought for to pass. This bill is so that they start charging us and so that we're able to cash our checks without any fees. It may seem like something small, but it's things like these that provide us the ability to pay our expenses and our bills on time.
That's great, Imelda. And is there legislation that has been sidelined, even though it's meant big benefits for workers?
Yes, as of right now, we're currently fighting to pass AB 257, another piece of legislation that will help out workers. What this bill would do is it would provide a voice for us workers at the table. It hasn't yet passed. In fact, it fell short a couple of votes, but we're not giving up. We're going to continue to fight because what this bill would do is it would give us a seat at the table for us to express and fight for our conditions at work.
What organizing actions are planned to get this bill passed once it's resubmitted? What's the plan to get it through?
What we're doing is, at the moment, we will continue applying pressure to legislators. We will apply this pressure so that they see the need and the urgency that we, the workers, need. We will continue to mobilize workers and continue our store actions until we pass AB 257, because that's what's going to give us a voice.
Well, thanks, Imelda. Just know that you have our support and Alex's support and workers all across the country who are involved in the fight. And we got to do whatever it takes. We know that until we get $15 an hour in a union. I'm Terrence Wise. Thank you for listening. This episode was produced by Judith McCrae, Alyssa Eads, with assistance from Maurice Basalian of Juneteenth Productions. You can find more episodes of this show wherever you find your podcast. Please rate and review us. It really helps us out. And if there's a worker in your life who would appreciate these stories, please share it. That's it for today, y'all. See you next time.